If you are new to making bread and you keep coming across the term the window pane test and you're like, what is that? This video is for you. The window pane test is a simple way to determine whether or not your dough is ready for shaping. In short, it tells you whether or not the gluten is fully developed. It is most useful for doughs or breads that have a short fermentation period, like yeast breads, for example, that rise over the course of 1 to maybe 3 hours. That's because yeast breads require a fully formed gluten structure before shaping. But breads like sourdough, for example, that have a long bulk fermentation period don't necessarily benefit quite as much from the window pane test because the gluten is developed over a really long period of time. So once you shape sourdough, for example, and put it in the fridge for cold proofing for 12 to 15 hours, the gluten structure is still developing during that time. So the window pane test wouldn't be really effective or useful in that case. But if you are making yeast breads, or if you do come across maybe some sourdough discard recipes or any other recipe that recommends the window pane test, this is how you do it. When conducting the window pane test, what we're looking for is for the dough to come together and then eventually through kneading, whether that's a stand mixer or by hand, for the dough to have developed enough elasticity that when you pull and stretch on it, it becomes thin enough without breaking that you can see light come through it. So this is my unofficial method of the window pane test. Normally you would not keep it in the mixer, but I'll get to that in a minute. You can see almost immediately upon pulling, the dough ripped. This is a clear and an immediate indicator that the dough is not ready. What we're looking for is a really stretchy, elastic kind of dough. So looking up close, you can see I'm kind of struggling to even pull it. So there shouldn't be so much tension that you can't pull the dough up and to the sides. Now, a minute or so later, after mixing it, you can see here, it is starting to get a little bit better. In fact, you can even see as I pull, there is a little spot that's starting to become see-through, but it ripped before I was really able to see the light through it. So again, it's not quite ready at this point, but we are getting a little bit closer. So it's back to the drawing board again. And this is pretty normal, especially as you're getting used to working with dough. It can be hard in the very beginning to know when it's even the right time to start the window pane test, but that will come with time and practice. But now you can see on the third try, the dough itself is getting really stretchy. I'm able to pull it really high out of the mixing bowl. The dough feels light and fluffy and really stretchy. And you can see I'm really able to start pulling it up into the sides, and the dough is getting pretty thin without tearing. In fact, I can now officially see through it, as you can tell right here. But my fingernail did go through it in 2 parts, which is important to remember that even when it is ready and you do the window pane test, if you pull on it too hard or if your fingernails are like mine and go through it, it will rip. So we're just looking for that spot where you can see the light right through it. And this is a really good example of what that should look like. Now, I want to share with you the actual official way of doing the window pane test. I don't always recommend keeping in the mixer because the weight of the dough can actually make it break a little more easily. So what the most traditional method is when you start to notice that the dough is stretchy, rip a piece off and perform the window test this way with a small piece of dough, so that way the weight of the dough inside the mixer or on your counter doesn't prematurely tear your dough. With time and practice, you probably won't even need to do the window pane test, but until then, this is how you can tell if you are finished kneading your dough.